The invasion fleet emerged from hyperspace 3 million kilometers from Earth, and Major Sienna Corvath watched with grim satisfaction as every captain in the Velthian armada simultaneously realized they had made a catastrophic mistake. "They are not moving," War Master Zelvik Thrain said, his mandibles clicking with confusion as he stared at the tactical display. 300 Velthian warships hung in formation, weapons hot, shields active, ready to demonstrate to humanity why conquering 73 systems had earned the Velthian collective its fearsome reputation. Earth's defense fleet consisted of exactly 17 vessels. Small. Outdated by Velthian standards. Not nearly enough to defend a homeworld against a proper invasion force. And they were doing absolutely nothing. Just sitting there in low orbit, broadcasting a single message on all frequencies. "What do the humans say?" Zelvik demanded of his communications officer. "The same message they have been broadcasting for the last 6 hours, War Master. They are asking us to withdraw. They say there is still time to avoid what they call unnecessary tragedy. They say we do not understand what we are starting. We understand perfectly. We are starting the conquest of Earth. We are demonstrating Velthian military superiority. We are teaching humanity the price of refusing to join the collective." From her position on the bridge of the human vessel Indomitable, Major Sienna Corvath listened to the intercepted Velthian communications with a heaviness in her chest that had nothing to do with fear and everything to do with inevitability. "Admiral Bren," she said quietly to the grizzled human commander who stood beside her. "They are not listening. They think we are bluffing." Admiral Tyros Bren was 73 years old and had spent 50 of those years serving in Earth's defense force. He had never fired a shot in anger. No human military had engaged in active warfare for 217 years. Not because humanity had achieved peace with the galaxy, but because humanity had chosen to avoid situations where war became necessary. "I know," Bren said, his voice carrying the weight of 2 centuries of carefully maintained restraint. "Sienna, transmit one final warning. Make it clear. Make it explicit. Give them every possible chance to understand what will happen if they continue." Sienna composed the message with hands that wanted to shake but would not. She had trained for this moment. Every human in military service trained for this moment. They trained knowing it might never come. Hoping it would never come. Praying that the galaxy would never push humanity far enough to remember what humans had once been. What humans could still be if they chose. The message went out on all frequencies, in all Velthian dialects, with visual accompaniment that left no room for misunderstanding. "This is Major Sienna Corvath of the Earth Defense Force to all Velthian vessels. You have entered Earth's sovereign space with hostile intent. You have ignored 17 diplomatic requests to withdraw. You have demonstrated weapons against our outer defense platforms. You are now in violation of the Galactic War Crimes Prevention Treaty, Article 7, Section 3, unprovoked aggression against registered homeworlds. Under the authority granted to us by that treaty, we are authorized to respond with any and all necessary force to defend Earth. But we are giving you one final opportunity. Turn your fleet around. Leave this system. Return to Velthian space. Do this now, and there will be no consequences. No retaliation. No pursuit. We will simply let you leave. But if you fire one more shot, if you advance 1 more kilometer toward Earth, we will be forced to defend ourselves. And when humans defend themselves, we do not stop until the threat is completely neutralized. We do not take prisoners. We do not negotiate ceasefires. We do not fight by the rules you are accustomed to. We fight to win. Absolutely. Permanently. Finally. We avoid war not because we fear it but because we are too good at it. Please understand this. Please withdraw. Please do not make us show you why humanity has spent 200 years refusing to fight. You will not survive the lesson." Zelvik read the transmission and his species equivalent of laughter rippled through his vocal sacs. "They threaten us. 17 ships threaten 300. The arrogance is astounding." "War Master," his tactical officer said hesitantly. "I have been reviewing Earth's military history. Before they joined the galactic community, humans fought wars among themselves for their entire recorded history. The casualty figures are difficult to believe. In their largest conflict, they killed over 70 million of their own species in 6 years. They developed weapons capable of destroying their entire biosphere. They were on the verge of self-extinction when they achieved space travel. War Master, I think the warning may be serious. Every species has a barbaric past. Humans have been peaceful for 2 centuries. They have grown soft. They have forgotten how to wage war. Or they remember too well. Fire a warning shot across their formation. Let them see our weapons in action. Let them understand that we are not playing diplomatic games. The tactical officer hesitated. Sir, that will constitute the first shot. That will activate their authorization to respond. Let them respond. Let them fire their 17 ships at our 300. It will be a short war. War Master, I really think. Fire the shot. That is an order. The plasma lance cut through the void between the Velthian fleet and Earth's defenders. It was aimed to miss, to pass safely between 2 human vessels as a demonstration of Velthian firepower and precision. It never reached its target. In the 3 seconds between the Velthian weapon firing and its projected impact, the entire nature of the battle changed in ways that would be studied for the next 1,000 years. Every human vessel activated systems that had been carefully hidden. Stealth technology that made the ships functionally invisible to Velthian sensors. Point defense grids that could track and destroy incoming fire with 99.7% efficiency. Energy shields that redistributed incoming weapon impacts across entire vessels rather than absorbing them at point of contact. The plasma lance was intercepted by point defense, fragmented into harmless particles, and dissipated before it reached the human formation. And in the moment that the Velthian weapon fired, 17 human ships opened fire with weapons the Velthians had not even detected. Sienna watched the tactical display with a sick feeling in her stomach as the first Velthian ships began to die. Railgun saturation fire, she reported, her voice professionally neutral even as her conscience screamed. Kinetic kill vehicles at 0.47 light speed. Impact in 7 seconds. Targets, command and control vessels. Secondary targets, point defense ships. Tertiary targets, carrier vessels. The Velthian fleet had excellent shields. Their defensive systems were rated to stop any conventional weapon in the galactic arsenal. But they were designed to stop energy weapons. Particle beams. Plasma lances. Fusion missiles. Not solid slugs of depleted uranium traveling at nearly half the speed of light. The impacts were catastrophic. Shields that could deflect terawatts of energy meant nothing against simple mass traveling at relativistic velocity. The kinetic energy transfer was absolute. When a railgun slug hit a Velthian warship, the ship simply ceased to exist in any meaningful way. It fragmented into expanding clouds of superheated debris. 18 enemy vessels destroyed, Sienna reported. 23 critically damaged. Point defense ships are down. They cannot stop the next wave. Launch second wave, Admiral Bren said, his face carved from stone. Target the carriers. Prevent them from launching fighters. The second wave was different. Missiles this time. But not fusion warheads or antimatter torpedoes. Something older. Something humans had developed before joining the galactic community and then carefully hidden in the deepest classified archives. Nuclear-pumped X-ray lasers. Bombs that converted their entire explosive yield into directed energy beams in the microseconds before the weapon itself vaporized. Weapons that had been banned by 17 separate galactic treaties but which Earth had never quite disassembled because humans understood that treaties were just paper until they were tested. The Velthian carriers died in microsecond pulses of radiation that cooked everything inside their hulls. Crews vaporized. Systems fused. Ships that had held thousands of fighters became radioactive tombs in less time than it took for their crews to realize they were under attack. 67 enemy vessels destroyed or disabled, Sienna reported. Remaining ships are attempting to break formation. They are trying to retreat. Do not let them, Bren said quietly. This was their choice. They were warned. They chose to ignore the warning. Now we finish what they started. Sir, they are trying to surrender. We gave them the opportunity to withdraw peacefully. They chose war. Now they get war. All of it. Until there is no threat remaining. Sienna executed the order even as part of her soul died. This was what humans had spent 200 years avoiding. This was why Earth had refused to participate in galactic conflicts. Why humans had accepted diplomatic defeats rather than military victories. Why humanity had built a reputation as pacifists despite having the most violent history of any known species. Because when humans fought, they did not fight for territory or resources or political advantage. They fought to eliminate threats. Completely. Permanently. With an efficiency born from thousands of years of perfecting the art of killing their own species. The battle lasted 17 minutes. Of 300 Velthian warships, none escaped. None surrendered successfully. None survived to report what had happened. Because humans, when finally forced to fight, did not take half measures. In the war room on Velthian Prime, Diplomat Master Praxin Queller watched the tactical feed die as the last of Zelvik's fleet was obliterated. He had opposed the invasion. Had argued against it. Had warned that humanity's centuries of peace might not mean what everyone assumed it meant. No one had listened. Now 300 ships were gone. 70,000 Velthian warriors were dead. And humanity had demonstrated something that would change the entire galactic power structure. Humans avoided war not because they were weak, but because they were terrifyingly strong. The transmission from Earth came 6 hours later. Not from their military. From their diplomatic corps. The contrast was deliberate and chilling. A human female appeared on screen. Elderly. Professional. Speaking in flawless Velthian with subtitles in 300 galactic languages. My name is Ambassador Lyra Thesson. I speak for the government of Earth and the people of humanity. 6 hours ago, the Velthian Collective sent an invasion fleet to conquer our homeworld. That fleet consisted of 300 warships crewed by approximately 70,000 personnel. In the engagement that followed, all 300 ships were destroyed. All 70,000 crew members were killed. Earth's defense forces sustained 0 casualties, 0 ships lost, and minimal ammunition expenditure. This was not a battle. This was a demonstration. A demonstration of why humanity has spent 217 years avoiding military conflicts. We do not avoid war because we fear defeat. We avoid war because victory is too easy. Because when we fight, we win so completely that it stops being war and becomes extermination. Your invasion fleet was destroyed in 17 minutes. That is not enough time to negotiate. Not enough time to surrender. Not enough time for anything except dying. And we did that with 17 ships using weapons we designed 200 years ago and have not touched since. These are not our best weapons. They are not our most advanced systems. They are the obsolete technology we keep in storage because disassembling it felt premature. If we had used our current military capacity, your fleet would have died in 17 seconds instead of 17 minutes. We are making this transmission to explain something to the Velthian Collective and to every other species watching. Humans do not want war. We will accept almost any diplomatic solution before resorting to violence. We will negotiate. We will compromise. We will endure insults and losses and humiliations to avoid fighting. But if you force us to fight, you will learn why we work so hard to avoid it. You will learn that human restraint is not weakness but mercy. That human pacifism is not fear but profound understanding of what we are capable of. The Velthian Collective has a choice now. You can accept this defeat. Mourn your dead. Return to your space. And never threaten Earth again. Or you can escalate. You can send more fleets. Bigger fleets. Your entire military if you wish. And we will destroy them all with the same efficiency we destroyed your invasion force. Because humans are very, very good at war. We have had thousands of years to perfect it. We have killed billions of our own species learning how to kill efficiently. And we have applied all that knowledge to designing weapons that work on other species too. The Velthian collective is not special. Your ships are not impressive. Your weapons are not advanced. You are barely a century ahead of where humanity was before we joined the galactic community. And in that century before we joined, we had already developed weapons capable of sterilizing biospheres. Do you understand now? Do you comprehend why we avoid fighting? It is not sport for us. It is not politics. It is extermination. We are offering peace one final time. Accept it. Please. Praxon watched the transmission 3 times. Then he called an emergency session of the Velthian High Command. We surrender, he said simply. We accept Earth's terms. We withdraw all claims. We pay whatever reparations they demand. And we never, ever threaten them again. They destroyed one fleet, someone objected. We have dozens more. We can overwhelm them with numbers. Did you watch the same transmission I did? They destroyed 300 ships in 17 minutes with weapons they consider obsolete. They had 0 casualties. 0 losses. They were not fighting us. They were demonstrating restraint. If they had wanted to truly attack, they would have targeted our homeworld before our fleet even left Velthian space. They could have killed our entire invasion force before the ships even formed up. They let us come. They let us threaten them. They gave us 17 chances to withdraw. And when we finally forced them to respond, they used exactly enough force to neutralize the immediate threat and nothing more. That is not weakness. That is terrifying precision. That is the restraint of an apex predator that knows it does not need to show its full strength because the demonstration is enough. You are saying we cannot win? I am saying there is no war to win. There is only dying faster or slower. The humans have been telling us this for 200 years with their policies. With their refusal to participate in galactic conflicts. With their insistence on diplomatic solutions. We thought they were weak. We thought they were pacifists. We were catastrophically wrong. They are not pacifists. They are predators who choose not to hunt because hunting is too easy and the morality of it troubles them. We just forced them to hunt. And they killed 70,000 of us in the time it takes to eat a meal. If we continue this war, they will not stop at military targets. They will systematically dismantle our entire civilization with the same efficiency they dismantled our fleet. And they will do it while feeling guilty about how easy it is. That is what makes them terrifying. Not their weapons. Not their tactics. But the fact that winning troubles their conscience. That they avoid war not from fear but from moral concern about how good they are at it. We surrender. Completely. Immediately. And we hope they accept. The message to Earth was sent within the hour. Complete, unconditional surrender. Reparations paid. Treaties signed. And one additional request that spoke to how thoroughly the Velthian understanding of humanity had changed. Please teach us how to avoid wars as you do. How to find diplomatic solutions when violence seems inevitable. How to restrain our military instincts. We do not want to be a species that forces others to defend themselves. Help us learn what you have learned. Sienna sat in the debriefing room with Admiral Bren and 17 other human officers. They had won. Completely. Overwhelmingly. With 0 casualties and minimal resource expenditure. They had proven that human military capability was beyond anything the galaxy had encountered. And no one was celebrating. 70,000 dead, Sienna said quietly. In 17 minutes. Because they would not listen. Because we made it too easy, Bren replied. That is always the problem. We are so good at war that it becomes mechanical. Efficient. Detached. We kill 70,000 beings and our casualty report reads like an engineering assessment. Systems performed as designed. Targets neutralized. Mission accomplished. We have removed the emotion from killing, and that makes us more dangerous, not less. So what do we do? What we have always done. We avoid fighting. We accept diplomatic losses. We endure insults. We negotiate in good faith even with species that do not. We do everything possible to ensure that what happened today never happens again. Because the alternative is becoming the monster the galaxy fears we are. Are we monsters? Bren was quiet for a long moment. Then, we have the capacity for monstrous efficiency. Whether that makes us monsters depends on whether we choose to embrace that capacity or work to transcend it. We choose transcendence. We choose restraint. We choose the harder path of avoiding war even when winning would be easy. That choice is what separates us from being weapons ourselves. 3 months later, Sienna found herself on Velthian Prime as part of the diplomatic mission helping the collective restructure their approach to interspecies relations. Praxon met her at the spaceport. Major Corvath, he said, his translator rendering Velthian formality into human understanding. Thank you for coming. I know this must be difficult. I killed members of your species, Sienna said bluntly. 70,000 of them. And I did it without even seeing their faces. How do you not hate us? Because you gave us 17 opportunities to avoid it. Because you warned us explicitly what would happen. Because you used exactly enough force to neutralize the threat and no more. Because you stopped when we surrendered instead of pursuing total destruction. Major Corvath, humans did not kill 70,000 Velthians. Warmaster Zelvik killed them by refusing to listen. By treating your warnings as bluffs. By assuming your restraint was weakness. You were the scalpel. He was the one who forced your hand. We understand the distinction. Do your people understand it? Not all of them. Many want revenge. Many want to blame humanity for being too powerful. But most understand that you did what you had to do. And most are grateful that you did not do what you could have done. We have analyzed your weapons. Your tactics. Your capabilities. You could have sterilized every Velthian colony world before our invasion fleet even reached Earth. You could have destroyed our entire civilization while we were busy threatening you. But you did not. You chose the minimum necessary force. You chose restraint even when you had every right to choose annihilation. That choice matters. It does not bring back the 70,000. No. But it prevents the next 70 million. Your restraint saved more lives than your weapons took. That is what we are trying to learn from you. How to value life enough to avoid taking it. How to find diplomatic solutions even when military solutions are easier. How to be strong enough to choose not to fight. Over the following years, humanity became the galaxy's reluctant teacher in conflict avoidance. Not because humans were pacifists, but because humans understood the true cost of war better than any species that had evolved on gentle worlds. They taught the mathematics of casualties, the psychology of restraint, the strategic value of being underestimated, the moral weight of having the power to destroy but choosing to create instead. And quietly, carefully, humans continued to maintain their military edge. Not to use it, but to ensure that if anyone ever forced them to use it again, the lesson would be decisive enough that it would never need to be repeated. 50 years after the Velthian War, as historians had started calling it, Sienna sat in a classroom teaching young officers about the engagement. Why do humans avoid war? A cadet asked. After proving we could win so decisively, why do we still seek diplomatic solutions? Sienna pulled up the tactical data from that 17-minute engagement. Because winning is too easy. Look at these numbers. 300 enemy ships destroyed. 70,000 enemy personnel killed. 0 human casualties. 17 minutes from first shot to last ship destroyed. This was not a battle. This was an extermination.
And we did it with weapons we designed 50 years before and considered obsolete. If we had used current technology, it would have been even faster. Even more one-sided. Even more efficient.
And that is exactly why we avoid war. Because when killing becomes efficient, when victory becomes mechanical, when we can destroy entire fleets without even seeing the people we are killing, it stops being defense and becomes something darker. We avoid war not because we fear losing,
but because we fear what we become when winning is this easy. Because the real battle is not against enemy ships.
It is against our own capacity for detached destruction.
And that is a battle we must fight every single day by choosing not to fight anyone else. The galaxy learned. Slowly. Reluctantly. But they learned. Humans were not pacifists.
They were predators who had chosen to evolve beyond predation. Warriors who had decided that true strength was measured not in victories but in conflicts avoided.
And that made them more dangerous, not less.
Because a species that can destroy you but chooses not to is far more frightening than a species that wants to destroy you but cannot. The Velthian Collective became humanity's strongest ally.
Praxin served as ambassador to Earth for 30 years.
And when he retired, he wrote a memoir that became required reading across the galaxy.
Its title was simple: We Mistook Restraint for Weakness.
And its final line summarized the lesson that every species eventually learned: humans avoid war not because they cannot win, but because they win too easily. And living with that efficiency, with that capacity for detached destruction, with that power to exterminate rather than defeat, troubles their conscience in ways that make them question their own humanity. So they choose the harder path.
They choose restraint.
They choose to win by not fighting. And in that choice, they demonstrate a strength that no weapon can match.
The universe was safer for it. Not because humans were pacifists, but because humans understood that the greatest victories are the ones you achieve by refusing to fight.
That wisdom, learned through thousands of years of human history and millions of human deaths, became humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy.
Not their weapons. Not their tactics. Not their efficiency. But their restraint. Their choice. Their decision that winning too easily meant there must be a better way. That was the lesson. That was the truth. That was why humans avoided war.
Because when victory is inevitable, the only real challenge is finding the wisdom not to seek it. If you enjoyed the story, like the video and subscribe for more. Thank you.